Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to ask my questions to the Cabinet Secretary for Cooperatives and Micro, Small and Medium Enterprise on the revival of the Moi University Savings Cooperative Society. Mr. Speaker, this is a question that was here from 2020 in this House. I would like to ask the CS from B first, and I'll talk A last. When will the Cabinet Secretary compel the Commissioner of Cooperatives to grant reinstatement of the certification for Musco so that the society can be able to mobilize membership and resources for the back office operations in line with the recommendation of this Senate through the committee on the 28th July 2021. Can the Cabinet Secretary order forensic audit of the liquidation account of specifically income and rent collection from Musco Towers and Plaza, respectively, and the related expenditures during the liquidation? Can the Cabinet Secretary order the suspension of any further withdrawals of monies from all Musco accounts awaiting the forensic audit? Can the Cabinet Secretary also set up a task force, another task force because there was one before, to, among others, one, finalize the implementation of the recommendations of the Senate Committee on the Reinstatement and Certification for the commencement of the back office operations? These may include the personal presence of the CS during the said certification and commencing of the operations for the seriousness to be felt by the aggrieved members. Follow-up, can the CS also follow up on the implementation of the first task force report? 3, can the CS set up a task force to look into the welfare of persons affected by the liquidation, issues of justice and public interest on the status of withdrawees, retirees, orphans, widows, and widowers, including compensation for the deceased members by the CIC
Margaret
insurance?
Kamar, the questions I have are totally different from what you are reading. Have you sneaked a different on the paper to this house? You know, professors can do anything possible.
Mr. Speaker, professors are horrible because they handled several drafts.
I know.
So the last draft, which we agreed with the Secretariat, with your Secretariat, Mr. Speaker, has 4. So let me go back to that because I think that's what went to the CS. I apologize, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, A, would the Cabinet Secretary...
On the senators, Professor is quite in order. Professor, go ahead and read into what you've been given.
Thank
Professor
you.
can never be wrong with whatever she's doing.
Thank you. Drafting is allowed, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, A, could the Cabinet Secretary order a forensic audit on the liquidation account of Moi University Savings and Credit Society, Musco, in liquidation and disclose the findings of the audit? B, what steps has the Ministry taken to facilitate the involvement of the SACO Society's Regulation Authority, County Government of Uasin Gishu, Intergovernmental Relations Technical Committee, Musco members, and other relevant stakeholders in Musco liquidation? I'm happy the former governor who was involved is now a senator here. C, why has the Commissioner of Cooperatives failed to reinstate certification for the resumption of the back office operations by the Moi University Savings and Credit Society in line with the recommendations made by the Senate Standing Committee on Tourism, Trade and Industrialization in July 2021, following its consideration of the petition to the Senate regarding the liquidation of Musco. Finally, would the CS also explain what the government is doing to facilitate full implementation of the recommendation of the task force appointed by Gazette Notice number 16776 of the 8th December 2023 to review the status of the Moi University Savings and Credit Cooperative, now in liquidation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Professor Margaret. CS cooperatives, I hope the answers you have are for these questions now, learned the second time, and not from the draft. So if you have the right answers,
Mr. Speaker,
proceed and respond.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. I have the answers to all the questions, that even the supplementary questions that he was asking. But, Mr. Speaker, if we listen carefully what Senator Professor Margaret Kamar was asking, I want, instead of reading the question and the answers, because this is before you, you can easily get the gist of the question and answers. I want to clearly talk about what I'm doing generally to address some of these issues that Professor Kamar is raising. There are 3 or 4 issues that, Mr. Speaker, the professor has raised. She has raised the issue of...
Honorable says, is it possible to handle them as they are content? You start with the A, with the Cabinet Secretary, under forensic audit, you respond about that, then B, C, and D.
And that's what I was coming to.
Okay, okay, CS.
Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you.
She raised the issue of the task force. She raised the issue of the involvement of the stakeholders. She raised the issue of the implementation of the task force recommendation. Those are the critical issues, and of course, a restatement of the management of the institution. On question number 1, where she's requesting for a forensic audit, Mr. Speaker, what the ministry did, it appointed a task force. And I want to take this opportunity to table the report of the task force. It is here, Mr. Speaker. That could answer question 1, that I instituted a task force, and within that task force, I have involved in that task force, which was appointed on 8th December 2023. All the stakeholders were involved. The university, Moi University representative was involved. The county government representative, the private sector, the ministry picked a quantity surveyor and architect. The cooperative bank, that is the main bank of the institution, was involved. The university, the neighboring university, Eldoret University representative was represented. We picked on prominent lawyers within that community. SASRA, within the supervisory authority within the ministry, was involved. And a member of the ministry was also involved. And Mr. Speaker, I want also to come out and highlight the recommendations within that report. The first recommendation, Your Speaker, was that the Cabinet Secretary should facilitate the immediate lifting of the liquidation, reinstatement of a certificate of registration, and appoint the interim committee to oversee the revival of the SACCO. Number two, the government to inject 500 million shillings to revive the institution. Number three, DCI to investigate suspected theft and misappropriation of funds and prefer criminal charges against the person of interest if found culpable. Number four, investigate identified government officers and external auditors for impropriety and negligence of duty. Number five, cooperative bank, the secured creditor, be requested to consider writing off all penalties and interest on Musco loans, offer a moratorium for 3 years, and zero rate all outstanding facilities. All monies should be channeled through the cooperative bank Eldoret branch. And lastly, the contractor be requested to write off any outstanding liabilities and withdraw legal cases against the SACCO. I brought out those recommendations clearly so that I can inform the Honorable House what measures we are taking to make sure that those particular implementations are taken. Mr. Speaker, sir, what the ministry is doing, because these issues that are being raised about Moi SACCO, Moi University SACCO, is rampant everywhere within the SACCO movement in this country. And what the ministry is doing to address these issues once for all, one, is that in this particular house, the ministry has introduced the cooperative bill that is before you. And this cooperative bill is supposed to address some of the governance issues that arose in the Moi SACCO. The second one that the ministry is doing is to review the SACCO Act, and the ministry has appointed a committee of experts to look at the entire SACCO Act of 2008 so that the weak links within that act are really addressed, especially making SASRA, the supervisory authority, to be a strong institution, because this particular institution, Mr. Speaker, lacks capacity. So we need to build capacity in that institution so that it is able to supervise all the SACCOs. And administratively, what the minister has done has also issued a circular to all SACCOs to ensure that all SACCOs do not invest in non-core business, because all SACCOs that have come up with the construction of buildings have gone bust. And then we have also issued circulars to make sure that any borrowing must be approved by the Commission of Cooperatives, and then also issued a circular that returns, all SACCOs must make returns to ensure that they are audited every year. And lastly, we have improved oversight by making sure that members work within delicate system so that there are fewer people during the AGM so that they are able to transact their businesses. For example, if a circle has 20,000 people, it is impossible to have 20,000 transacting an AGM. But specifically what I have done for Moi University is that, one, I have removed the liquidator who was there. We have temporarily appointed a new liquidator who will work closely with also a counter liquidator appointed by the county government. Before the end of this month, I'm going to meet all stakeholders of the circle to make sure that we come up with a revival strategy. So, Mr. Speaker, that's what I have done.
Senator Professor Margaret Kamar, you have two supplementary questions to ask.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I will start with the last one on the liquidator. In the response, the CS has said that he has appointed a new liquidator. The current cooperative legal framework states that you can then appeal after that within 30 days. I am aware that actually this cooperative appealed at that time but was not responded to. So is the CS giving room for the cooperative to then use this room for the with the new liquidator to appeal reinstatement? That is one. The second one, the second question was has to do with what could have been my supplement. Yes, what the members who have been affected by liquidation. We have the deceased members, we have widows, we have orphans, we have people who have lost a lot. How are those going to be addressed? Are they going to be addressed at this stage or later? Because we are liquidating also a cooperative that has a lot of assets that have not been accounted for. Some within the university, some outside the university, some plots that have not been sold. Can the minister tell us how he's going to approach the issue of the deceased and their families? That's my second question. Thank you.
Waziri.
Mr. Speaker, there is a window of appeal of 30 days to the Cabinet Secretary. Unfortunately, there was no appeal when the liquidator was appointed. And if there is no appeal, then it means that the appointment proceeds.
Oh, sorry, Professor. You want to inform the CS? Well, I thought he can respond, and then if you are not maybe satisfied, you can raise another supplementary question. Let him first finish.
I will not mind a question of information. I will not mind.
Now, first finish with what you have.
Yes, I was clearly saying that there is a provision for the appeal. And I can give you a statement on the appeal. Mr. Speaker, the current legal framework does not provide for the restatement of registration for a cooperative society whose registration has been cancelled. Rather, it permits an appeal against the cancellation order issued by the Commissioner to be lodged with the Cabinet Secretary within 30 days, with a further right to appeal to the High Court. Where no appeal is filed within the stipulated period, the liquidation process proceeds in accordance with the law. It is further noted that the Insolvent Act does not provide for reinstatement of a certificate of registration once cancelled. This position is consistent with international best practices, which generally does not provide for reinstatement under such circumstances. So I wanted clearly, because I was expecting that supplementary question, so I was prepared. Secondly, I have clearly stated that we are going to meet the stakeholders before the end of this month. And within those stakeholders, we are going to come up with a revival plan. Within that revival plan, we are going to address the issues that Honourable Member has raised. How would we compensate? There is a building already, a very big building worth millions of shillings. Maybe one of the revival plan is to dispose of that particular building so that we are able to compensate the affected members, as pointed out by the member. And I will closely involve Honorable Margaret Kamal in all this process so that we move together to revive this cooperative.
Senator Professor Margaret.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just wanted to inform the Minister that during the investigations, actually, we discovered that there was an appeal that was not addressed, but it is in the documents of the Senate. But I'm very happy with the CS that he's going to have a revival plan. I think then the past will go and will move forward. Thank you, CS. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very well. Senator Mandago Jackson. Maybe you must be private to what has been happening. Let's get your supplementary question.
Thank you. Yes, Honorable Speaker, thank you very much. Yes, I am private to what was happening. Actually, when the Honorable Minister was busy with the matters of Kakamega County, I was busy sorting out this matter of Moi University, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, first let me thank the CS and the Ministry for, the problem with the tutor here is, anyway. Honorable Speaker, for first the decision to revive, but I'm happy that Senator Kamara has informed the CS that indeed there was an appeal on a CS. It is quite unfortunate that the information it seems to have been given is not accurate. And I think probably the officers who colluded with the Commissioner of Cooperatives, SASRA, Musco management, Cooperative Bank could have also continued to give you misleading information. Indeed, there was an appeal. What we are seeing is a systematic, continuous systematic cover-up of what happened. My question, Honorable Speaker, to the CS, I've heard him say there is a recommendation that government injects 500 million. Before we talk of government injecting 500 million, my question would be, when is the government going to submit the deductions that were deducted from members and were not submitted to the cooperatives, contrary to the law? Part of the problems of Musco was that member savings were being deducted, members' loans were being deducted, but the money was not being remitted to the cooperative, and that is why the cooperative also ended up where it was. Number two, Honorable Speaker, if you allow me, as a stakeholder, is the CS has said he is replacing the liquidator. Who is going to take the responsibility of the messes the liquidator created before they left? And finally, Honorable Speaker, what is the Minister, Cabinet Secretary going to do? Allow me, Honorable Speaker, because this is a very serious matter. It has crippled the economy of that county. Just another 3 seconds, Honorable Speaker. What is the Cabinet Secretary going to do, number one, to increase the number of liquidators in this country? In fact, two things. We have only less than 5 liquidators who have been moving around, actually killing cooperatives. And we also have what we call receiver managers. There are less than 5 in this country. In fact, they are not. We should call them the cartels that are simply going to bury the cooperatives, Honorable Speaker. And what is the Cabinet Secretary going to do if he actually confirms he was misled by his officers that there was no appeal, Honorable Speaker? And I speak, Honorable Speaker, I want to ask my colleagues that when we bring the amendments of the Cooperative Act as the Committee for Trade, let us deal with this office called Commission of Cooperatives that has been responsible for the death of cooperatives in this country. Thank you.
I don't want to take more questions because yours are very substantive questions. So let the CS first answer your question.
Mr. Speaker, I know Honorable Mandako knows even much more than I know, but let me assure Honorable Mandako that I've been fairly briefed and I'm on this particular issue to see that it is actually resolved. Now, Mr. Speaker, deductions are done by the employer of cooperative members, and the employer of cooperative members is Moi University. This has been a problem in the entire SACCO sector, and the most culprits are the universities and county governments. Mr. Speaker, this is one of the issues that we are raising up, tightening it within the cooperative bill that is before this particular house. This issue is being addressed there so that the Commission of Cooperatives is given more powers to follow this deduction, because these deductions have contributed to collapse of many SACCOs, because members are deducted, but the affected institution divert the money to other use, which is actually irregular. Number two, Mr. Speaker, I have clearly stated that one of the recommendations that this particular report that I've tabled before the House is forwarded to the DCI to take appropriate action. That's another agency in government that is supposed to do a thorough investigation and prosecute those that we were involved in the mess of this particular SACCO. Number three, Mr. Speaker, we had a shortfall of staff. The ministry, as you are aware, it was established in 2022. So when some of the staff were moved from where cooperative moved from the Ministry of Agriculture, we had a shortfall, and I'm happy to announce here that we have been given the mandate to recruit more staff so that we will have now more liquidators. We have gone further now to make sure that any liquidation, we involve the Office of the Attorney General so that a proper process is followed, proper reporting is done. So that is what I have done. For the appeal, if the appeal was there, unfortunately, I was not in the office that time, and I can't pass the blame to whoever was in the office, but I take the responsibility that I will check if there was an appeal, and I will want to apologize if that appeal was not effected or was not addressed.
Honorable CS, you can write down, maybe I want to pick 3 or so questions. So your team can just write it down for you. Senator Edwin Sifuna.
Honorable Speaker, allow me to raise questions with the CS over a matter that was raised regarding his docket recently, just to provide some clarity to this House. Honorable Speaker, the Kenya Human Rights Commission released a report recently on the SASRA fund, and they found that the fund was structurally flawed, economically unsustainable, politically compromised. And Honorable Speaker, they gave specific reasons for reaching that conclusion, including a 68.3% default rate, that for every 500 shillings that is borrowed, 340 shillings is lost, that there is no regulatory or legal framework for the recovery of that money if people refuse to pay, and that the Auditor General could not render an opinion because of unavailability of documentation. Honorable Speaker, the response from the ministry, instead of giving us their own data, was that that report was biased, politically motivated. Honorable Speaker, therefore this morning I want to ask the Honorable CS, Waziri, do you have alternative facts? What is the default rate? What is wrong with the figure that was given by the Kenya Human Rights Commission of 68.3%? Do you have a different figure? Is it not true that in fact for every 500 shillings that is borrowed, 340 is lost? Isn't it in fact true, Honorable Speaker, you can shed light, maybe from the perspective of the ministry, does there exist a legal or regulatory framework for recovery of money that is unpaid? And according to the ministry, therefore, Honorable Speaker, was the Auditor General able to audit this fund and render an opinion? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Senators, you know some of the questions you might ask might not get direct response because the questions, and you look at the standing orders, you should ask a supplementary question related to the principal questions that were asked to the ministry. So you might not get direct answers, and I'm just a bit lenient also to allow such questions. But the other senators kindly stick to this principal question. Senator Derito John Kenywa.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Waziri, I don't know whether you are aware whether Afya Sacco is cash-strapped because members, when they take loan, for example, a member takes a loan of 1 million. Every time they are told you cannot get all the lump sum, you will be paid 30,000 per visit, meaning you'll have to go to Afya Sacco 30 times or more times to get your 1 million. And because you have said you're going to inject about 500 million to Musco, do you have any intention of injecting money to Afya Sacco? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator, just a minute, CS. Senator Kadri Muma.
Thank you, Speaker, for the opportunity to ask a question, and welcome CS Wycliffe Oparanya. CS, in your response, you indicated that one of the recommendations given is that the government should inject 500 million into the SACCO. CS, as you're aware, the contributions to SACCOs are actually by SACCO members. So when these SACCOs collapse, and many of them are collapsing, shouldn't government be focusing on a stronger regulatory framework? Shouldn't we be putting in place mechanisms to actually penalize and hold people personally responsible for losses of money instead of taking taxpayers' monies to inject in SACCOs? Are you going to inject similar amounts for Cusco, into Cusco, which has lost billions of monies for members? Can this really be a viable route of getting SACCOs to work, or it is another loss of public money that should otherwise go elsewhere? Shouldn't we hold those who whether it is employers or the managers in SACCOs, shouldn't they go to jail and be held personally accountable to ensuring that monies that they're in charge of are held responsibly?
At least yours is related to the subject matter. Congratulations. Honorable CS, you cannot respond to the three. But
Mr.
just
Speaker,
try your best.
Mr. Speaker, let me address the first issue raised by Honorable Spooner, and that's quite a different question. I want to plead with the House that you allow me to come next Wednesday to give a comprehensive report on the operations of SASRA Fund, because I think SASRA Fund has been misunderstood. And within that response that I will issue on Tuesday, I will address each of the questions that Honorable Spooner has addressed.
Very well, but the Senate management will give you the right time that will appear.
Okay, I will be happy to receive that correspondence.
Yeah, I will receive correspondence
and deal with it comprehensively.
Okay.
Yeah. Secondly, the issue of Afya Sacco. I'm aware that Afya Sacco has been having liquidity problems. But as I've mentioned here, some of these liquidity problems are occasioned by county governments, because most of the members of the Afya Sacco are medical staff who are devolved. Now, county governments, several county governments have deducted members' dues, but they have not remitted them in millions. And this has created liquidity problems for SACCOs. And this is what affects the Moi Sacco, Moi University Sacco. This is what is affecting Afya Sacco. And this also affecting others. And as I have said, this issue is clearly addressed in the cooperative bill that is before you. So I'm happy that now you have noted how serious this matter is. When you come to considering this matter, honorable members, I will request that you address this issue squarely in the law, so that those institutions that deduct money from SACCO members and they are not able to remit, or they divert those funds, serious action is taken against them. On the issues raised by Honorable Muma, the 500 million is not an injection that the government is going to do. It's a recommendation. It's a mere recommendation that the government should put in 500 million. But as a government, I will not go that route of making sure that we inject money in SACCOs that collapse, because with the limited resources, the government will not be able to do that. But what is critical is that we strengthen the supervisory authority, which is SASRA. Unfortunately, SASRA has been underfunded. And because of underfunding, it has no capacity sometimes to carry out regular supervision. And we want this particular sector to be self-regulating. So self-regulating, self-sustainable. So if it's that, we are saying that levy collected from SACCOs for supervision purposes should be kept by SASRA. And this is one of the amendments that we are proposing within the SACCO Act, because this money is collected by SASRA and it has to be forwarded to the Treasury, and then the Treasury takes time to return back the same money. And it's a levy, it's not a tax. This issue has already been addressed by the Cabinet Secretary in charge of the Treasury, and I think is addressing that particular issue. So, with what I have said, Honourable Member, we want to strengthen SASRA, which is the regulatory authority. Commercial bank, central bank supervises commercial banks. SASRA supervises the SACCOs. But SASRA has no strength or has no capacity as central bank because of funding. And I've told you where the funding is supposed to come to improve that supervisory authority. The issue of Cusco, I don't want to comment on it very much because the officers who are involved in irregularities at Cusco are already before court. And the court now is dealing with that process. We have the investigation, we have already the reports. People whom they think are capable have already been arraigned before court, and the matter is now a court process. Let us wait for the outcome. But as I close up, Mr. Speaker, I think I would request that this House, when you look at, when you address the issues of the Cooperative Act 2024, please address this issue of governance within the cooperative movement, so that, and then the question of supervision, so that, and the question of deduction of members' dues. These are the three areas that have actually weakened the SACCO movement. If we seal the loopholes, I'm very certain that we shall have a very strong SACCOs in this country. Thank you.
Okay, Senator Wabua Enoch. We are taking another round of 3 questions.
I thank you, the Speaker. Speaker, every time you mention Moi University, I have more than a passing interest. I'm a former student there, and Senator Kamar is my teacher. When the senator says that he is satisfied with the response from the CS, I get a bit worried, because that response, the Speaker, from my seat, and this is my question, is based on misleading information. On the admission of the CS, he did not know that an appeal had been lodged on the matter of Musco. And on the basis of that information, he has crafted a recovery path for the SACCO. Now that he knows otherwise, is that recovery path still relevant? Because the Speaker, I've heard him say that some of the things that he wants to do will be perhaps there's a proposal to put in some money. There is also a proposal to liquidate assets belonging to the SACCO. But if there is an existing appeal, would that recovery path still remain as is? And lastly, Mr. Speaker, now that I have the floor and he has committed that one day he's going to come here and speak to us about the SASRA funds, Speaker, it may turn out actually that what he knew before he became the CS is the truth, and perhaps what he knows now about the SASRA fund could also be misleading. The Speaker will wait to hear from him.
Senator Enoch Wambua, you cannot preempt the report that will be brought to this House by the CS. You wait for the report and then you can criticize the report. Senator Mongatana Danson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Again, I'm so happy to hear that there are plans to revive Musco. Mr. Speaker, 2 of my brothers who are very prominent members, both one outside and one in Kenya, They went to study there. They began their academic journeys there in Moi University. And there is more than passing interest in Musco. So I'm glad to hear that at least there are plans for revival, because the losses are massive. Just 2 quick clarifications from the minister. I wanted to know how much money exactly is involved, because he has been talking, but he has not mentioned or referred to any figures that the liquidator is handling. I also wanted to know, this liquidation of Musco did not happen overnight. There must have been a process of bad performance that was reported to the ministry. So can the minister tell us in terms of future or protecting other cooperatives from going down that path, what steps is he taking to make sure that that doesn't happen to other cooperatives? Is there a process or a method of checking what is happening and actions being taken so that we don't have the cooperative movement going down the drain? I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Modigi Alexander Munyi.
Asante Bwana Spika. Swali langu kwa wasiri wa cooperative, kwa vyama, mambo ya vyama vya ushirika unajaribu kurainisha, sio kama zamani, lakini mambo zingine kama mambo ya agriculture, mambo ya livestock iko na shinda katika Mount Kenya, haswa Embu, Tharaka Nithi, Meru. After hii serikali ya Kenya Kwanza kuanza kazi ilisema maziwa itatoka shilingi 50. Lakini saa hii katika hizo county na zingine maziwa inatoka shilingi 45. Na shinda ile iliyoko, chakula ya ng'ombe, dawa, kila kitu yote mkulima anaumia kwa sababu ya hizo vitu iko juu. Utaweza kusaidia namna gani kwa sababu directive iko na unajua iko. Hiyo maziwa iwe hairudi chini kuliko shilingi 50. Na sio hiyo Mount Kenya peke yake. Sisi tukiwa kamati ya agriculture tulitembea Bungoma, mambo ya ajabu katika Kenya, lita moja inatoka shilingi 34. Kwa hivyo ni kama Kenya. Bwana Waziri, unaweza kusaidia mkulima namna gani? Najua siku hizi pali mingi hakuna kazi, watu wengi wamerudi mashambani kulima. Na mambo ya kulima, hakuna mashamba ya kulima, watu wamerudi kwa kulima mambo ya maziwa na mambo ya agriculture. Asante Bwana Speaker.
Lastly but not the least, Senator Chute Mohamed.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Well, let me thank the CS for being with us here today and the many years service he has given to this country. But I wanted to know from the Minister, how will SASRA continue to oversight other SACCOs, considering its role in the multi-million losses of Cusco? And the Minister, the CS, should tell us, is there any insurance or guarantees from the government if the money is lost? Thank you very much.
Honorable CS, you can answer those questions. I think that's the last set of questions from the members this morning.
Yeah, the question from Mheshimiwa Mugatana, who is my best friend, I have already tabled a report here. I did a very detailed report. And this detailed report will show you the weaknesses in each of the areas.
Senator Mugatana, when I was in school, I was told by my teacher, when you ask a question, you listen, you become attentive to listen. So Senator Gataya, stop misreading Okay.
Honorable Mungatana, when you are not listening, I said that you are my good friend. Yeah, you are my good friend. So I wanted to answer you. First of all, there was this issue of appeal. I have admitted that I have not looked at the appeal. And even if the cabinet secretary never acted on the appeal, there is a provision that if the cabinet secretary do not act on the appeal, you have an alternative of going to the High Court to pursue the matter with the High Court. So this is another open avenue that whoever was appealing to the cabinet secretary, he would have proceeded to the High Court if there was no response from the cabinet secretary. I've never got any correspondence from the High Court that the issue is being addressed there. But I have admitted that maybe it was an oversight if the appeal was received by the cabinet secretary and it was not addressed. Secondly, the issue of Honorable Mungatana, I have clearly pointed out that I have tabled here a report that was presented to me by the task force. And within that report, it addresses quite a number of areas, and I will plead with you that if you read the report, you can now assess yourself how much money that you feel, how much money was misappropriated. But as I've said, the confirming of the money misappropriated, that is the responsibility of another agency. And I've said clearly that this is an issue that we are going to refer to the DCI to take the appropriate action. The issue of protecting others, how do we? I've clearly said here that we have the cooperative bill before you, and within that, the government has made quite a number of provisions that will make sure that the supervisory of SACCOs is strengthened. And one of the recommendations is to strengthen SASRA. SASRA is underfunded. An institution, if it is underfunded, is not able to carry out its responsibilities. So it will be up to this House to help the ministry to make sure that SASRA is appropriately funded so that it is able to carry out its responsibility. Nina mheshimiwa ambaye ameongea mambo ya kilimo kutoka kule Embu na mambo ya mifuko, na wazi amesema ya kwamba ati bei ya maziwa saa hii ni shilingi 50. Hii ni bei ambayo serikali imeweka, na kabla serikali iweke hii bei ya shilingi 50, wakulima wa mifuko walikuwa wanalipwa chini ya shilingi 40. Wengi wa wakulima walikuwa wanalipwa kati ya shilingi 35 mpaka 38. Ndio serikali ikaamua tayari kupitia kwa shirika la KCC la serikali, bei ya chini kabisa ni bei shilingi 50, lakini sangine wanalipa zaidi ya hii 50. Ni kwa sababu waliweka bei ya 50, yale mashirika ya binafsi kuendelea kuwa kwa biashara pia walisongesha bei yao kutoka shilingi 38 kwenda kwa shilingi 50. Kwa hivyo serikali tayari imesaidia wakulima wale ambao walikuwa wanalipa bei ya 38, sasa wameenda kwa bei ya 50. hapo serikali imefanya kazi kusongeza hiyo. Lakini nataka nimjulishe mheshimiwa ya kwamba hii bei ya 50, hii bei inaenda kwa ushirika, the cooperative. Na cooperative pia hapo hiyo ina kazi yake ambayo inafanya kuleta hii maziwa pamoja na kusafirisha hii maziwa katika kwa factory. Na hiyo ina gharama. Kwa hivyo unapata mkulima amepata shilingi 45. Kwa sababu zile zingine 5 zinaenda kwa hizo services ambayo cooperative inafanya. Ndio kwa sababu unapata ni bei 50, lakini mkulima mwenyewe anapata shilingi 45. Bei ya chakula nina haki, wakulima wamekuja mbele yangu kusema bei ya chakula iko juu kabisa. Serikali ifanye maanani kuona ya kwamba bei iko chini. Juzi tumekuwa, rais amekuwa kule Meru na Mount Kenya dairy, akapeana machine ya kutengeneza chakula, akapeana msaada kutoka kwa serikali ya shilingi milioni 200 ili Meru dairy waweze kutengeneza chakula cha ng'ombe ambayo sasa bei itakuwa chini. Na serikali iko tayari kusaidia mashirika mengine kuona ya kwamba hii bei ya chakula iko chini. Na pia unajua ile miradi serikali inasaidia wakulima kwa kupeana mbolea ambao bei ni nafuu kwa shilingi 2,500. On the issue of SASRA, I have said here severally that we need to strengthen SASRA. That one I don't want to repeat it. But on the guarantee of losses of funds, we have introduced, and this issue is coming before you, honorable members, we are now introducing deposit guarantee fund within the amendment in the SACCO to protect SACCO members who are likely to lose their deposits when SACCOs go under receivership. Thank you.
Waziri, sawa nitakupea, lakini I wanted to also, you know, once when you are chairing, sometimes you give an opinion. Several CS you have referred to this matter that SASRA has no capacity. Because you are the CS in charge of SASRA. What is making SASRA to be weak and that you cannot be able to sort out, especially is it financing? What is it that SASRA is not working? Because you know cooperative is the way to go nowadays. Every crop that we have should go the cooperative way. But if SASRA is weak and it is the regulator, so maybe you can give us commitment on the intentions. What do you intend to do to SASRA so that this body can have power and teeth, Honorable CS? But Honorable CS, before you answer me, huyu mjumbe wa Embu anakaa jaridhika na jibu lako na ni mkulima wa maziwa.
Bwana Waziri, umejibu vizuri kusema kuna kiwanda itajengwa Meru ya kutengeneza chakula ndio bei irudi chini, na tunakumbuka hata rais wakati alikuwa Meru alisema mambo ya semen itakuwa inatoka kama shilingi 1 ndio mkulima avaindike. Shinda ni wakati kulitangazwa na rais akasema lita 1 itakuwa inatoka shilingi 50. Lakini Bwana Waziri, wakati umekuja hapa katika Kenya, watu wakiangalia kusema inafaa itoke shilingi 45 na hii shilingi 5 kuna mali itaenda, na mkulima unajua kwa na shinda kule mashinani tukua viongozi. Hakuna bali aliambua shilingi 5 kuna mali inaenda. inaonekana hiyo ni kama kupotosha watu wa Kenya, na tunakuheshimu kama unafanya kazi mzuri sana, na tunajua utarainisha. Tafadhali ungesaidia mkulima wa maziwa awache kutaapika. Kama chakula itarudi chini, wakati hiyo bei itarudi chini, ndio mkulima anunue angalau shilingi 50, rais wa Kenya alisema. Asante Bwana Spika.
Mheshimiwa, nimesema rais alitangaza ya kwamba mkulima atapata shilingi 50,000, na jambo hilo lilifanyika karibu mwaka moja na nusu ambayo uliopita. Na sasa mimi nataka nikuhakikishie hili jambo nitaangalia ya kwamba mkulima apate hiyo 50. Tuwe na njia ambayo mkulima atapata hiyo 50, kwa sababu rais mwenyewe alisema ya kwamba ati mkulima apate 50. Hakusema cooperative ipate 50 alafu ikate. Hilo ndio jambo tunataka tuangalie, na hiyo nakubali na wewe. Mambo ya SASRA, Mr. Speaker. SASRA is a supervisory authority. We want this sector to be self-regulating. SASRA charges a percentage of the deposit as a fee to carry out supervision. But where the problem has been this levy has been treated by Treasury as a tax. So it is collected by SASRA, taken to Treasury, and then Treasury has to return it to SASRA. That process takes time. And as you know, any levy in this country is not a tax. It's retained, even the fuel levy is retained to carry out what it's supposed to do with the relevant authority. So that's why we are saying that this levy, because we have been collecting, SASRA has been collecting around 800 million Kenya shillings to carry out its supervisory work. But the money that it gets back from the Treasury after collecting 800 has never exceeded 500 million Kenya shillings. So they have a gap, entire gap of 300 million that the money it has collected, but it has not been remitted there. That is an administrative bottleneck that has been there, which we have now discussed with Treasury, that this money, once collected, must be retained by SASRA and be used for the intended purposes. I'm hopeful that this year that will be implemented, and that will be one way of making SASRA financially strong to carry out its responsibility. Thank you.
That's a good response. Honorable Senators, that's the end of the questions from the honorable members. So, Honorable CS, I want to thank you for appearing before the Senate this morning. You have satisfactorily answered the questions from the members of the Senate, and you have referred only one matter about the SASRA fund that will come back to this House with a full report. So I think you can now have your leave because we are done with you. Thank you very much indeed for not shying away from appearing before the Senate. Okay, thank you and your team. PS Kiremi, thank you very much indeed, and the entire team.